Hey everybody, this is Rykard here again, and welcome to another Pokemon Movesets video. Today's video is going to be all about Alolan Persian, so let's get started by taking a look at this Pokemon's typing, abilities, and stats. So to start things off, Alolan Persian is a Dark-type Pokemon introduced in Generation 7 as an alternate form to the Normal-type Persian that's been around since Generation 1. But this Persian gets access to 3 abilities, the first of which being Fur Coat, which is an ability that actually halves the damage of physical attacks directed at this Pokemon, significantly increasing its physical bulk. It also has access to the Technician ability like the regular version of Persian, which increases the damage of attacks that have 60 base power or less by 50%, thus allowing you to use some weaker moves to a greater extent. And lastly, this Pokemon has the Rattled ability as its hidden ability, which increases your speed stat when you are hit by Bug, Dark, or Ghost type moves, and since Persian actually resists 2 of those types, you actually could get some use out of this ability, though it is quite situational. Stat-wise though, the most obvious thing that you'll notice about Persian right away is its great speed stat being base 115, however the rest of its stats are pretty average to below average all around. However, again, as I mentioned before, because of the Fur Coat ability, its defense, even though its base 60, is actually not that bad when coupled with the Fur Coat ability, which is very cool to see. And it also does get a ton of different coverage and attacking options to really make use of its physical attack and its special attack, even though these are fairly low when compared to a lot of other offensive Pokemon. But with that, let's take a look at the first moveset that I have for you in this video. So for this first moveset, we're going to be making use of Alolan Persian as a defensive pivot to make use of its high speed stat and Fur Coat ability to mitigate the damage of physical attacks. So we're going to start this one off by giving it a Jolly Nature to increase its speed but lower its special attack, going with the Fur Coat ability, and an EV spread of 252 HP, 4 defense, and 252 speed EVs to give it its maximum speed and HP possible to give it just quite a bit more bulk and make it very fast. But for the moves, the first one that we're going to be going with is going to be Taunt as a way to prevent our opponents from using any non-attacking moves. And because Persian is so fast, you are almost guaranteed to be faster than whatever you're matched up against to taunt them and prevent them from either setting up hazards, statusing you, or even recovering off HP that they have lost throughout the battle. But for the second attack and our main damage dealing attack of the set, we're going to be going with Foul Play, specifically because we're not running any attack EVs and Persian has a fairly low physical attack, so Foul Play will be basically the best way to deal dark type damage as it will be based off of your opponent's physical attack instead of your own. Then for the third attack, we could either go with Knock Off to give you some more utility in removing your opponent's item, Hypnosis to have a chance to put them to sleep, Toxic to status them with a poison status that will slowly wear down your opponents, or Fake Out to give this Pokemon a decently powerful priority move that can be essential in allowing this Pokemon to possibly revenge kill an opponent when they're at a low range of health. But the last move on the set, regardless of what you choose for your third option, is going to be Parting Shot, as it's one of the best switching moves in the game, as it will be simultaneously lowering your opponent's physical and special attack stats by 1 stage, thus making whatever you bring in after you switch Persian out take hits from your opponent significantly better. And for the item choice, we're going to be going with Leftovers on the set to recover a little bit of HP at the end of every turn, or Darken EMZ, specifically more so to be used in combination with Parting Shot, because when you do use these two together, you will actually heal whatever you bring in after you switch out up to full health, which can be essential for not only healing your own teammates, but also possibly set up for a sweep, because your opponent will then have the lowered stats from Parting Shot. As for this next moveset, we're going to seek to utilize Alolan Persian's physical bulk further by running it as a Toxic Staller. So we're going to start this one off by giving it either an Impish Nature to increase its physical defense but lower its special attack, or a Bold Nature to increase its physical defense but lower its physical attack, depending on which attacking option you go with on the set. But again, we're going to be making use of the Fur Coat ability, and for the EV spread this time, maxing our physical defense and HP stat with 252 EVs into both of those, while putting the remainder 4 into your speed stat. As for the moves on this set, the first one that we're going to be going with is going to be Substitute to get behind a protective barrier to shield us from attacks and statuses, while we attempt to Toxic Stall our opponents. And to do this, in addition to obviously running Toxic as a way to poison them and then slowly wear down their HP throughout the battle, we're going to be running one attacking move in the form of either Foul Play, for reasons mentioned in the previous set because it's going to be based off your opponent's physical attack, Knock Off as a way to get rid of items, which can aid in the Toxic Stalling because you'll be able to get rid of leftovers potentially on your opponent, or running Snarl as a way to allow this Pokemon to actually lower its opponent's special attack, thus allowing it to take special hits significantly better. And this is where you would go with the Bold Nature over the Impish one. But for the last move on the set, we could either go with Amnesia, which is actually going to be doubling our special defense which when used in combination with our EV spread and the Fur Coat ability, makes this Pokemon ridiculously tanky. Taunt as a way to obviously prevent your opponent from using any non-attacking moves, which could be using like Heal Bell or Aromatherapy to get rid of the toxic status or other moves to heal them up, or running Protect on the set as well, just to stall out for more toxic damage if you would like to. But no matter how you run this, Leftovers will be the item of choice here to allow you to recover HP at the end of every turn and continue to toxic stall your opponents effectively. Now, in addition to being a great defensive Pokemon because of Fur Coat, Persian, being as fast as it is also a perfect candidate to run a choice set. So for this one, we're going to start by giving it a Timid nature to increase its speed but lower its physical attack, or a Modest nature to increase its special attack but lower its physical attack, and then either go with the Fur Coat ability to give it that added bulk on the physical side, or of a Technician ability to make it a little bit more powerful depending on the move choices that you go with on the set. But for the EVs, we're going to put 252 into its special attack to max that out, 4 into its special defense, and then 252 EVs into its speed stat to max that out as well. And for the item, since we're running this as a choice set, we're going to either be running choice specs to increase our special attack while locking us into a move, or a choice scarf to increase our speed while locking us into a move. But for the first move on the set, we're going to be going with either Dark Pulse or Snarl, depending on if you're going to go with Fur Coat or Technician. Interestingly enough, Snarl is actually more powerful than Dark Pulse when used with Technician, and also has that added benefit of lowering your opponent's special attack stat. However, Dark Pulse could be used on both sets anyways, just because of the fact that it does have that chance to flinch, which can be very useful. As for your second attack, you could either run Thunderbolt for additional coverage, or Hidden Power Steel, which I think is the first time I have ever suggested this on any moveset whatsoever. And the cool thing about Hidden Power is that it has 60 base power, which is perfect for Technician because that'll boost it up to 90 base power, and having a powerful 90 base power Steel type move can be very useful when matched up against opposing Fairy type Pokemon that are going to be sponging the hits from your Dark type stab very easily. As for your third attack though, we could run HP Steel here if we're going to go with Thunderbolt in the second move slot, Icy Wind as a way to give you that really good Bolt Beam combination that gives you virtually unresisted attacks, or run Switcheroo in this last move slot here as well, because it'll allow us to switch our choice specs or choice scarf onto our opponent and must lock them into an unfavorable move. But for our last attack, again, we're going to be going with Parting Shot, which will be very useful for this particular set, as it will allow us to weave in and out of battle a lot more easily, lowering our opponent's stats in the process, and thus allow us to really scout what our opponent's going to do before we actually lock ourselves into a move. As for the fourth moveset, we're going to be running Alolan Persian as a boosting special attacker with the move Nasty Plot. So we're going to start again with the Timid nature, the Fur Coat or Technician ability depending on the move choices, and the same EV spread as before to maximize our special attack and our speed stat. But for the moves, the first one that we're going to be going with is going to be Nasty Plot as a way to boost our special attack by 2 stages and make Alolan Persian considerably more threatening as a special attacker. But again, our Dark type option is going to be between Dark Pulse and Snarl for the reasons mentioned previously, and then for our more coverage options, we can again run Thunderbolt, Hidden Power Steel, or Icy Wind to give us the coverage that we want for this particular set. Also, additionally, we could run Hypnosis on this set as well, as a way of allowing this Pokemon to put its opponent to sleep, and possibly allow us to get a free turn of setup when matched up against a possibly threatening attacker that Persian would normally have an unfavorable matchup with. But for the item on the set, we could either run a Life Orb to allow us to increase the power of all of our attacks at the cost of losing 10% of our health every time we damage our opponents, or go with the Psyche MZ Crystal to be used specifically in combination with Hypnosis, as this will also be boosting our speed by 1 stage and make us a lot faster, thus turning this into sort of a double boosting set between Nasty Plot and the speed boost from the Psyche MZ boosted Hypnosis. But overall, this set has a ton of damage potential, and it really depends upon what coverage moves you need for the set, as well as the fact that you could also switch up the Hidden Power to be whatever you need it to be depending on the threats that you're going to be matched up against, thus giving it a lot of flexibility and turning Alolan Persian into a very threatening special attacker. Finally, for the last moveset of this video, we're going to be running Alolan Persian as a physically offensive attacker. So we're going to start this one off by giving it a Jolly nature to boost its speed but lower its special attack, and then going with the Technician ability this time just outright without even considering the Fur Coat, just to give us a lot more damage with our attacking moves. But for the EVs, this time since we're running a physically offensive set, we're going to put 252 into its physical attack, 4 into its special defense, and then 252 into its speed to max out its physical attack and its speed stat. And for the moves, this time, we're first going to be going with Workup as a way to boost our physical attack, more importantly, but also our special attack as well. And the cool thing about Workup is that when you actually use this in combination with Normalium Z, which is an item that you could use on the set in addition to the Life Orb, you actually gain an additional physical attack boost, essentially acting like a Swords Dance, which is very cool. But in addition to Workup, we're going to be running one Dark-type stab move in the form of either Knockoff or Bite, depending upon whether you want the utility of being able to remove your opponent's item, while also being a pretty powerful move in and of itself, or Bite as a move that's boosted by Technician up to 90 base power, and also has a 30% chance to flinch your opponent. As for your next attack though, we're going to be running Gunk Shot, which is going to be an amazing move to allow this Pokemon to deal with opposing fairy types that resist your dark type stab, and also just give it a little bit more type coverage as well with a chance to poison our opponents. And for the last move slot, going with either Aerial Ace or Play Rough, as a way to give this Pokemon a reliable way to deal with opposing fighting types that also resist your dark type stab. And Aerial Ace will be boosted up to 90 base power because of Technician, and Play Rough will also just be as powerful as it is, and have that cool chance of also lowering your opponent's physical attack if you get lucky enough. But overall, while this set is probably weaker of the two if you want to run a physically set versus a specially offensive set, this one does have a lot of merit and can allow Alolan Persian to do a lot of physical damage with its great attacks and coverage that it gets on a physical set. But anyways everybody, that is it for this video on Alolan Persian. So thank you all for watching, hope you all enjoyed, and as always, take care, goodbye, and I will see you next time.